Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Caitanya Charitamrita overview class. Thank you for joining in. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri-rupam sagrajatam sagana raghunathanvitam tam sajivam sadvaitam savadhutam parijana sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. We are discussing from Caitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela. We are discussing from the fourth chapter, the confidential reasons for appearance of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Kaviraj Goswami is describing the three internal reasons why Krishna appears as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the explanation of the sixth verse of the Adi Leela, first chapter. So the first desire of Krishna was Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vanayeva. Krishna wanted to understand the greatness of Radharani's love. That's why he appears as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Second, Saukhyam Chasya Mad Anubhavataha. He wanted to experience his own sweetness. Because Krishna is so beautiful, so attractive, full of all the features, all the opulences, that he is attracted sometimes to himself, but he is not able to experience the full. What gopis are experiencing, what Radharani is experiencing. That's why to experience that his own beauty, his own sweetness, he appears as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And third reason which we are discussing is he appears to taste the happiness which Srimati Radharani is experiencing in serving him. Saukhyam chasya mad anubhavataha. So these are the three reasons because of which Krishna appears as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And yesterday we discussed how there is a constant competition going on between beauty of the gopis and the in response to the beauty of the gopis, Krishna's beauty increases, and seeing the beauty of Krishna, gopis become more joyful, more happy, more beautiful, and there is constant competition going on between this. But in this competition, there is no trace of lust. Gopi preme kore Krishna madhuryera pushti. All the gopis, they are only serving to please Krishna. There is no other motive. And therefore, even though the gopis, they don't want their personal happiness, but they are ecstatic in serving Krishna. And they are so happy that they experience ecstatic emotions, but they condemn those emotions. And the example of Daruka was given. And then Kaviraj Goswami describes that Krishna wanted to experience the emotions of Srimati Radharani. He is now describing in great detail. And we discussed who can understand this and who cannot understand this. Who can understand the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and who cannot understand. Hridaya dharaya ye Chaitanya Nityananda, Aisa Siddhanta se paibe Ananda. So anyone who has captured the feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his heart, Lord Nityananda Prabhu's lotus feet in his heart, he can understand, he can experience. Others cannot understand. And only these devotees, they taste the sweetness of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Krishna Bhakti Siddhantagan Yate Prafulla Padmavan Tara Madhu Kariyaswadan Premarasa Kumudvane Prafullit Ratri Dine Tate Charao Mano Bringagan. So the pastimes and the philosophy related to Krishna's pastimes, it is like a forest of flowers, lotus flowers. Yate Prafulla Padmavan, and devotees, they should relish this beautiful nectar which is there in these lotuses. Tara Madhu Kariyaswadan Premarasa Kumudvane Prafullit Ratri Dine, and become like a honeybee or bumblebee and taste this nectar of Mahaprabhu's pastimes and Krishna's pastimes. And who is not qualified? Those who are non-devotees, they are like camels. They are just tasting their own blood. And as camels, when they eat thorn, they taste their own blood. So Kaviraj Goswami Nair describes that once Krishna was thinking that everyone says that I am complete bliss, full of all the rasas. I am the embodiment of all the rasas. I am the embodiment of bliss. But who can give pleasure to me? Only one who has 100 times more qualities than me can give pleasure to me, to my mind. And it is not possible to find a person like this, like who is more qualified than me in this world. Asamordhvam, there is nobody equal to Krishna, there is nobody greater than Krishna. But Krishna says Radharani experiences, Radharani alone, can give me that pleasure. Although in this world there is nobody who is greater than me, but Radharani gives pleasure to Krishna, to me. That's what Krishna is thinking. And therefore Krishna is telling that although my beauty attracts millions of cupids, and it is unparalleled, unsurpassed. Nobody in the all three worlds can equal to my beauty. Just like when Krishna enters Dwarka, Mathura, all the ladies of Mathura, they are telling, Gopya tapa kimacharam yadamushya rupam lavanya sarama samordham ananya siddham Drigbipi Vantyanusava Bhinavam Durapam Ekanta Dham Yashasha Shri Aishwarasya. Oh, what tapasya these gopis must have performed, Gopyas Tapakimacharam, that they were tasting this beauty every day, the essence of loveliness. Lavanya Sarama Samordham Asamordham. There is nobody equal to Krishna, there is nobody greater than Krishna. Ananya Siddham, he only excels himself. And gopis were drinking this nectar of Krishna's beauty every day with their eyes. Drigbipi manti anusava bhinavam durapam. So Krishna's beauty is unparalleled. His beauty even surpasses the beauty of 10 million cupids. But Krishna is thinking, seeing Radharani gives pleasure to my eyes. My beauty defeats everyone, but the beauty of Radharani attracts my eyes. Although my body lends fragrance to the entire creation, this entire world, entire universe, entire material manifestation has fragrance because of the fragrance which comes from the body of Krishna. But I am attracted by the fragrance which is coming from the limbs of Srimati Radharani. That is what is very captivating for Krishna. And he says that, whatever taste exists in this world, it is because of me. But Radharani's lips, they are more attractive to me. I am charmed by the nectarian taste of that. My touch is cooler than 10 million moons, but I become enlivened when I touch the body of Srimati Radharani. I am the source of all happiness, but I'm not able to understand how is this. I am uh, I am having everything to the superlative degree, but still Srimati Radharani satisfies me. My mind is fully satisfied when I see the beauty of Srimati Radharani. That's what Krishna is saying. And interesting thing is, Srimati Radharani experiences more pleasure. She becomes more advanced in satisfaction when she sees me. That is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. The master, the servant enjoys more than the master. In this world, nobody wants to become the servant because servant means exploitation. Servant means no freedom. Servant means, completely subordinate to someone. That is the conception of servant in this world. But in the spiritual world, servant is something very different. In the spiritual world, servant enjoys more than the master. And that is what we have to understand. This is the crux of Krishna consciousness. The term servant, dasa, it is the highest in the spiritual world. It is the lowest in the material world. Urdhva moolam adha shakham. So if we understand this concept of being a servant, then it is easy to surrender to Krishna. But because of our false ego, although theoretically we may hear so many things, but unless we get purified of our anarthas by Shravanam, Kirtanam, this simple concept will not enter the heart. Because the desire to enjoy is so very deeply rooted. That's why we have come here. Nitya Baddha Krishna hoite Nitya Bahirmukh Nitya Samsara Bhunje Nara Kadi Dukh. Since time immemorial, we are here in this material world suffering. Nitya Samsara Bhunje Nara Kadi Dukh. Sometimes in the higher planets, sometimes in the hellish planets. Kama Krodhera Das Hoya Taralathi Khai. And he becomes servant of the senses and servant of the anarthas, and is kicked by the Maya Devi. So that is the position of the living entity in this material world because we want to become the master. But in this description, we find that Radharani experiences unlimited times more satisfaction than Krishna by serving him. So that's why all the great devotees, what they ask, please make me servant of your devotees. Evam janam nipatitam prabhavahi kupe kama vikama manuya prapatan prasangat kritvatma sasura rashina bhagavan grihita soham katham nu visrije tava bhritya seva. So Prahlad Maharaj is praying to Nrsimhadev, oh my Lord, please give me service to your devotee Narad Muni. Because only by being touched by the devotee of the Lord, one can cut off this material existence, cut off this knot of false ego. And then we can get a glimpse of what it means to be servant. And in these pages of Caitanya Caritāmrta, Kaviraj Goswami is describing so beautifully what is the position of a servant in the spiritual world. Servant enjoys much more than the master. So Srimati Radharani, so Krishna is thinking, what is this which Srimati Radharani is experiencing? When she hears the flute-like murmur of the bamboo tree when they brush against each other, Radharani thinks that, oh, this is the flute of Krishna, and she becomes absorbed in hearing that flute sound. She is stunned. And then when she sees Tamal tree, she thinks, oh, it's blackest complexion. She thinks that it is me, and she embraces me. That's what Krishna is thinking. She embraces Tamal tree. And then she's telling, oh, I have got an embrace of Krishna. That is the mood of Srimati Radharani. And in this way, she is constantly immersed in the thoughts of Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness. You know, in the Bilamangal Thakur has written this Govinda Damodar Stotra. In that he writes that when the gopis, they would go to sell yogurt and butter, instead of calling out, please take buttermilk, please take yogurt, they would call Govinda Damodar Madhaveti. You know. So they were completely absorbed. Whatever they were doing, they were absorbed in Krishna. When breeze would carry the fragrance of Krishna towards Srimati Radharani, she would be so absorbed, so ecstatic that she would try to fly in the breeze. It may look all out of this world, but this is what Srimati Radharani is experiencing, because she is always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. And seeing all these things, Krishna decides to come down. So Radharani, she experiences Krishna in such wonderful ways that Krishna is not able to understand. And therefore he's thinking, even if I experience, even with hundreds of mouths, I cannot express the transcendental pleasure which Srimati Radharani is deriving in my association. And therefore, seeing her happiness, I forget my own happiness. It tells that there was a sage, Bharat Muni. He has explained that, in the material conjugal relationship between a male and a female, both enjoy equally. But he says, but in the spiritual world, it is not the case. Because we can see Radharani is enjoying much more than Krishna in serving Krishna. So therefore, he's telling that, the happiness that I feel in meeting Radharani is 100 times greater when I meet anyone else. Radharani gives me the best pleasure. And all the senses of Krishna, they are enlivened when they come in touch with Srimati Radharani's qualities. And similarly, Radharani is also overwhelmed when she experiences Krishna's attributes. And that experience is much greater than Krishna's experience. So to understand this, Krishna decided to appear. He says, I am so very eager to taste the joy which Srimati Radharani is experiencing. Nana yatna koriyami nariya swadite se sukha madhurya ghane lobha badhe chate. So Krishna is saying, I am trying my best to experience what Radharani is experiencing, but I am not able to do so. And I am just able to experience the smell. I can experience the smell of the sweetness which Radharani is experiencing, but I cannot taste it. That's why my desire is increasing. It is general observation. If there is some very nice dish which is being cooked in the kitchen and the fragrance is coming, so you can smell the fragrance, but you cannot taste it now. So therefore the desire increases. So Krishna is smelling the sweet fragrance of Radharani's happiness, and that is attracting Krishna, and Krishna wants to taste it. Therefore, rasa aswadityami koila avatar prema rasa aswadila vividha prakar. So therefore, to experience Krishna, experience Srimati Radharani, I have appeared in this world, I will appear in this world in the form of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He says that, formerly I appeared and I have taught all the principles of devotional service. He spoke so many things in Bhagavad Gita. So I taught devotional service. Krishna is thinking, I taught devotional service. I demonstrated all these pastimes. Krishnera Yateka Khila Sarvottama Naralila Naravapu Tahara Swarup Gopavesha Venukara Navakishora Natavara Naralila Hoyanurup. So all these pastimes Krishna manifested. But these three desires of mine are still unfulfilled. What are those three desires? What is the glory of Radharani's love? Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima. Second, Saukhyam Chasyamad Anubhavataha. Second is the quality of Krishna, Madhya Adbhut Madhurima. And third is Saukhyam Chasyamad Anubhavata. What is the pleasure which Srimati Radharani is experiencing? So these three things Krishna is not able to understand. Therefore, he appears taking the mood of Srimati Radharani. Radhikara Bhava Kanti Angikara Vine Seitina Sukha Kabhu Nahe Aswadane. So therefore he is thinking, Krishna is thinking that unless I accept the luster of Srimati Radharani's ecstatic love, I will not be able to experience these three things. And thinking this, he decides that, okay, assuming the sentiments of Srimati Radharani, I shall descend in this world to fulfill these three desires. And therefore, when Krishna came to this conclusion, at the same time, the time for Yugavatar appeared, also came. It coincided. So, in every Yuga, there is a Yugavatar. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not that Yugavatar. He is specially incarnating. Krishna is especially coming to experience the mood of Srimati Radharani and all, to fulfill all these three things. So somehow these two coincided, because at that time Advaita Acharya was calling very, very loudly. And we have heard this earlier also, that he was worshipping Shaligram Shila with Gangajal, Tulsi water, and he was thinking, how will these people of Kali Yuga be delivered? In Kali Yuga, there is no avatar of Krishna mentioned. But unless Krishna comes personally, these people, they will not be delivered. So he would call out loudly. So by hearing the loud calls of Advaita Acharya, the Lord had to appear. So therefore, Krishna, he decided, okay, first I'll send all my friends, all my elders. So he sent all the elders, Guru Varga, his father, mother, his teachers, and then he appeared taking the complexion of Srimati Radharani from the womb of Shachi Devi, which is like the milk ocean, as pure as milk ocean. And in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world. So Kaviraj Goswami ends the chapter by offering his obeisances to Srila Rupa Goswami. He says, okay, I've explained the sixth verse, and then he quotes a verse from Rupa Goswami's compilation from Stavamala to support whatever he has described. That is the glory of Acharyas. They never take the credit for whatever they have done. And whatever they do, they quote the previous Acharyas. And that is called Parampara. Evam Parampara Praptam. So therefore, if we want to tell something about the pastimes and the philosophy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have to do it in Parampara. So therefore, just like Kaviraj Goswami is quoting Rupa Goswami to substantiate whatever he has said, so that it becomes authentic. Otherwise, in this world, anybody can say anything, and because there is no authenticity, it will be taken as true. Nobody to prove this. So therefore, the best way to understand if this is bona fide or not is to find if it is coming in disciplic succession. Any other acharyas are telling the same thing. Guru, sadhu, and shastra we have to take shelter of. So Kaviraj Goswami is telling that Lord Krishna. So Rupa Goswami writes this in his Mala, that Krishna had a desire to taste the nectarian mellows of love of Srimati Radharani, one of the gopis, Srimati Radharani. And therefore he assumed the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and appeared in this world. He tasted that love, hiding himself, hiding his own dark complexion. He tasted the love of Srimati Radharani. And after telling this, he says, so therefore now I have explained the meaning of the 6th verse. And then he ends this chapter by offering obeisances to Rupa and Raghunath Das Goswami. Shri Rupa Raghunath Pade Yar As Caitanya Caritāmrta Pahi Krishna Das. So then after this, the 5th chapter of Adi Leela, the glories of Lord Nityananda Balaram, they are described. So in this chapter, this is the explanation of the 4 verses of Adi Leela, first chapter, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11, the 5 verses. So this is the explanation of the 5 verses of the Adi Leela, and it describes the essential nature and glories of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Who is Lord Nityananda Prabhu? The glories and the details of Lord Sri Nityananda Prabhu is described in this chapter. And in this chapter, Kaviraj Goswami, he does not give any quotations from the scriptures about Lord Nityananda Prabhu being the avatar of Lord Balaram. Lord Nityananda Prabhu is the source of Lord Balaram, or is the same as Balaram. He is just stating the fact that it is the same personality, because he has proven, quoting so many scriptures, that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. So therefore there is no need to further quote any of the scripture to prove that Nityananda Prabhu is Lord Balaram. He just glorifies the features of Lord Balaram, and then he comes to the conclusion that this Lord Balaram is the same Nityananda. This Nityananda is the same Balaram. So we'll start this chapter. He says, Vande Anantadbhut Aishwaryam Sri Nityanandam Ishwaram Yasyechaya Tatswarupam Agyenapi Nirupyate. Vande Anant Adbhut Aishwaryam. Let me offer my obeisances to the one whose opulence is Ananta, unlimited, and Adbhuta, wonderful, unlimited. Nityanandam Ishwaram, that supreme personality of Lord Nityananda, who is the supreme God. Yasya Ichchaya Tat Swarupam, if he desires, then Agyenapi Nirupyate, if he desires, by his mercy one can understand his tattva. One can understand the identity of Lord Nityananda if he desires. We cannot barge into the kingdom of God, as they say. We have to just wait for the mercy of Lord. And how we will get mercy of the Lord? When Lord sees that this person is really sincerely struggling to serve, struggling to chant, struggling to hear. That attracts the mercy of the Lord. Athapi te deva padambujadvaya prasadaleshanugrihita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno na chanya ekopi chiram vichinvan. Athapi te deva padambujadvaya prasad. Anyone who gets the mercy of Even a drop, prasad lesha, even if somebody gets a drop of the mercy of Lord, janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno, he can understand the tattva of Lord. Na chanya eko pichiram vichinvan. Otherwise, even if somebody tries for many lifetimes, he will not be able to understand. Na cha anya ekopi. Even one, there is no exception to this principle. You know, yasya ichhaya. Only when Lord desires, then one can understand who is Lord. And we have to have that faith. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatpara samyatendriyah jnanam labdhva param shantim achirenadi gacchati. Only one who is faithful, he gets knowledge. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Only a faithful person develops knowledge about the Supreme Lord, and he can be peaceful in this world. So therefore, glorifying Lord Sri Nityananda Balram, Kaviraj Goswami begins this chapter. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So he offers obeisances to Panch Tattva. In every chapter beginning. So in the beginning of every chapter, he offers obeisances to Panch Tattva. And the end of every chapter, he offers obeisances to Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. So then he tells that I have described the glory of Lord Sri Chaitanya in 6 verses. In the 6 verses, now in the 5 verses, I shall describe the glory of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So in the first chapter, 6 verses describe the glory of Lord Chaitanya. Now 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. 5 verses describe the glories of Lord Nityananda. Sarva avatari Krishna Swayam Bhagavan Tahara Dvitiya Deha Shri Balaram. Sarva avatari Krishna. So Krishna, he is a fountain head of all the incarnations. He is not avatar. Krishna is not an avatar, he is an avatari. He is the fountain head of all the incarnations. Etecha amshakalaha pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All the other incarnations, they are either portions or portions of the plenary portions. But Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Personality. And Jiva Goswami has described in detail this verse of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 1.3.29. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Actually, this verse is the Paribhasha Sutra of Bhagavatam. So here, Kaviraj Goswami is telling, Sarva Avatari Krishna. Krishna is Avatari. And who is Balram? Tahara Dvitiya Deha Swayam Balaram Shri Balaram. And Balram is the second body of Krishna. There is no difference. So Prabhupada writes that the expansions of Krishna, there are various expansions of Krishna. Swamsha and Vibhinna Amsha. Swamsha means those who have unlimited potencies. All the avatars of Krishna, they are Swamsha. And all the living entities, they are called Vibhinna Amsha. So all the avatars of Krishna, they are coming from the plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of Krishna. But Krishna and Balaram, they are one in identity. Ekai swarupa dohe bhinna matra kaye adya kaye vyuha Krishna Leela Sahai. Ekai Swarupa. They are one in identity. Bhinna Matra Kai. They are just different in their bodily features. Just like one time there was a debate which happened, argument. What is the difference between Krishna and Balram? And Gurudas Prabhu and Jamuna Mataji, they were arguing. So they went to Krishna Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, there is some argument which is happening. Prabhupada said, what is that? Yamuna is saying, there is the difference between Krishna and Balaram is Krishna is black, Balaram is white. Prabhupada said, yes, that's right. And but Gurudas is saying, actually, the main difference is Krishna enjoys with the gopis, and Balramji has a different gopis. They have different. Krishna has different gopis. They are both enjoyers. But Prabhupada said, yes, you are also right. Prabhupada said, so then these devotees said, Prabhupada, so who is greater? Prabhupada said, you decide. Yeah. So sometimes Prabhupada would give such answers because they are ultimately one. Ekai swarup dohe bhinna matra kaye. Their body is different. Krishna, Balram is the first bodily expansion of Krishna. Adya Kaya Vyuha. Adya Kaya Vyuha means he is the first bodily expansion of Krishna. Adi means the first one. And what is the role of this Balram? Krishna Leelara Sahaya. He assists Krishna in all his wonderful transcendental pastimes. So Balaram is the Swamsh expansion of Krishna. Prabhupada writes in the purport. And therefore, that same Lord Krishna, he appeared as Lord Sri Caitanya. And Balaram, he appeared as Lord Nityananda. And then the most famous verse, whenever Nityananda Tirodishi comes, now it is coming. So many times the speakers, they choose this verse to glorify Lord Nityananda. Sankarshana karanato yashai garbhodhashai chapayobdishai sheshascha yasham sakala cha nitya nandakshara sharanam mamastu. So this is a very beautiful verse glorifying Lord Nityananda Prabhu. What is the tattva of Lord Nityananda? For Gaudiya Vaishnavas, it is very, very important to understand the tattva of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, tattva of Nityananda Prabhu, because they are our life and soul. They are the principal deities. That's why we are called as Gaudiyas. So if we don't understand the tattva of Nityananda Prabhu, tattva of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we will not be able to understand who are these personalities. Either we will become sentimental or we will not be able to take the best advantage of it. So therefore, the tattva of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, they are very, very important to understand. So therefore, Prabhupada, he would tell many times that anyone who reads the Adi Leela, he will never leave ISKCON in dearth of philosophical understanding. Oh, I didn't find anything great about philosophy in this movement. Anyone who wants to understand the philosophy, he should read this Adi Leela, especially the first few chapters, 14 chapters, where Prabhupada describes in great detail the tattva. Because this tattva is very, very important to understand. Siddhant baliya jeev chitte nakar alas iha hoite Krishna lagi sudrida manas. We should not be lazy in understanding the siddhanta, the philosophy. Because this is what saves a person in danger. What is the danger in a devotee's life? It may not be physical danger. The danger in life of devotees is doubt. Danger in life of devotee is the attack by material energy. Danger in the life of devotees is the conditionings which he has. So when these things come, the tattva, the siddhanta protects us. And as they say, the more we sweat in peace, the less we bleed in war. When things are going on good, nothing great, nothing major problem in life, how we are taking shelter of Krishna, how we are taking shelter of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, how we are begging for mercy, that attracts the attention of Krishna. And then Krishna gives mercy when we are in difficult times. So therefore, although these chapters may look very dry, so much philosophy, no pastime, all philosophy. But if we understand this philosophy in right consciousness, then we will be able to experience and relish Krishna Katha, Chaitanya Leela. That's why, that is how Bhagavatam is also. Bhagavatam is a perfect blend of philosophy and pastimes. And especially in the first few cantos, second canto, third canto, the creation of this universe is described 5 times. And many times devotees, they wonder why this complex philosophy is described here. I'm not able to understand anything. But Shukdev Goswami himself tells why we should understand this philosophy. Mayam varnayato moshya ishwarasya anumoditah shanvata shraddhaya nityam mayayatmanam hyati. If we understand the creation pastimes, if we understand what is this creation pastimes, when we understand the greatness of the Lord, how big the Lord is, mayayatmanam hyati, we will not be bewildered. As somebody was saying a few days back, when problem comes, don't tell Krishna how big your problems are. Tell your problems how big Krishna is. And how big Krishna is, that we will understand when we read, when we understand the philosophy. Oh, this personality is not an ordinary personality. Who is Nityananda Prabhu? Sankarshana Karanatoya Shai. Sankarshan Karanatoya Shai means Karano Dakshai Vishnu. Garbho Dashai Chapayo Dishai. Garbho Dakshai Vishnu. Payo Abdhi. Paya means milk. Abdhi means ocean. So Shiro Dakshai Vishnu. So the four characters, four personalities are described here: Sankarshana, Karano Dakshai Vishnu, Garbho Dakshai Vishnu, and Shiro Dakshai Vishnu. And then fifth personality is Sheshascha, Ananta Shesha. Who are these personalities? Sankarshana, Karana Dakshai, Shiro Dakshai, Garbho Dakshai, Ananta Shesha. Who are these personalities? Yasya Amsha Kala. Yasyamsha Kala. Yasya Amsha Kala cha Nitya. They are his plenary portions and the portions of his plenary portions. Whom? Nityananda Rama. All these are either portions of either his plenary portions of his plenary portions. I offer my obeisances unto that Supreme Personality. I take shelter of that Supreme Personality. So Nityanand Prabhu is not an ordinary personality who is just begging devotees, begging people, Markhe Prem De Aparato Nai. He is being beaten and he's still giving love. He's going door to door begging. Please take the names of Lord Shri Krishna. Who is this personality? He is the source of Sankarshan, Nityananda, Karano Dakshai Vishnu, Garbho Dakshai Vishnu, Shiro Dakshai Vishnu, Shesha. Please don't think he's an ordinary personality, he's an avatar. No. He is the first expansion of Krishna. So this verse was composed by Sri Sarup Damodar Goswami, and he writes it in his diary to glorify Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Shri Balaram Gosai Mool Sankarshan Pancha Rupa Dhari Kore Krishnera Sevan. So who is this Nityananda Prabhu? Who is this Balaram? Balaram is Mool Sankarshan. He is the original Sankarshan. And this Balaram expands in 5 forms to give pleasure to Krishna. Pancharupa Dhari Kore Krishnera Sevan. So Prabhupada would quote these verses many times. And Prabhupada uses a very wonderful term, very famous term, servitor Godhead. Who is Balram? He is servitor Godhead. So Balram is assisting Krishna in all his pastimes. He is everything for Krishna. All the various rasas, Madhurya, Vatsalya, Sakhya, Dasya, all the rasas, Balram is serving Krishna. As in Madhurya Ras, he is Lavanga Manjari. In Vatsalya Ras, he is the elder brother. In Sakhya Ras, he is Sridham. So therefore, he is everything. In Shantaras, he becomes the bed. He becomes the entire spiritual world. So Balramji, he is serving Krishna in every way. Apane kare na Krishna lila ras sahay, srishti lila karya kore dhari charikai. So apane kare na, he himself assists Krishna in his pastimes, and he takes 4 forms to assist in the creation pastimes of Krishna. So there are pastimes of the spiritual world and there are pastimes of the material world. What are the pastimes of the material world? All the creation of the universes. That is also pastime of Krishna. And all these pastimes are for one purpose, to take us back to the spiritual world. Otherwise, there is no purpose of Krishna creating this material universe. Only one purpose. So that we can understand that this place is not worth staying and we can go back to, we develop a desire to go back to the spiritual world. And Balramji, he helps Krishna in all these ways. So Srila Prabhupada writes that Balram, he is the original Sankarshan. So from Krishna comes Balram and then Balram or Sankarshan. So Balram expands into Vasudeva Sankarshan Pradyumna Aniruddha, his original Sankarshan. And then from that Sankarshan, again the Chaturvyuha comes, Vasudeva Sankarshan Pradyumna Aniruddha. And then from the Vasudeva feature comes Mahavishnu. So therefore Prabhupada writes, this Balaram is the original Sankarshan. And the first, so this Balaram expands himself into Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Shirodakshaya Vishnu, and Shesha also. So Sankarshan, Mahasankarshan, Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Shirodakshaya Vishnu, and Shesha. So these are the 5 expansions in which Balramji is serving. So Prabhupada writes that both the material and the spiritual worlds, they are, coming from these expansions. So these 5 are responsible for the material and the spiritual world. And the first 4, Mahasankarshan, Mahavishnu or Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Shirodakshaya Vishnu, they help in the creation pastimes. And the 5th one, the Ananta, he personally serves the Lord. He becomes the bed of the Lord. And Lord lies down on Ananta Shesha. So therefore, Sri Balaram is the servitor Godhead. He's a same supreme personality who comes to serve Lord. And Nityananda Prabhu, he is the same Balaram. So therefore, just like Balaramji, he assists Krishna in all his pastimes, Lord Sri Nityananda Prabhu, he assists Lord Gauranga in all his pastimes. Therefore, when Nityananda Prabhu was taken by this one Brahmana from his village, he toured all over the place, all over India, and he was staying in Vrindavan. He didn't start preaching unless he received a signal, a token from Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And then only he came to Mayapur, Navadvip. to assist Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu in all his pastimes. So therefore, Kaviraj Goswami tells that I have explained the 7th verse in 4 subsequent verses. You know, 7th verse was explained in 8, 9, 10, and 11 verses. And anyone who understands these 4 verses, they can understand everything about Lord Nityananda Prabhu. And then he describes something more. Purnaishwarye Shri Chaturvyuha Madhye Rupam Yasyudbhati Sankarshanakyam. So first was Mayatite Vyapi Vaikuntha Loke Purnashwairye Shri Chaturvyuha Madhye Rupam Yasyodbhati Shankarshanakyam Tam Shri Nityananda Ramam Prapadye. So now Kaviraj Goswami, he gives the explanation of the 8th verse of the 1st chapter, the Sankarshan in the Chaturvyuha. So he says, Maya Tite Vyapi Vaikuntha Loke. So material creation is, in this material creation, whatever is there beyond that material creation is Vaikuntha Loke. As Bhagavatam describes, Ekpada Vibhuti and Tripada Vibhuti. So this material world is Ekpada Vibhuti. That means it is limited. And Tripad means unlimited. So beyond this material creation, there is Vaikuntha, which possesses all the opulences, and in those Vaikuntha planets resides the Chaturvyuha, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And Rupam Yasya Udbhati Sankarshanakyam. And Sankarshana, he is the expansion of Lord Nityananda Balaram. So Nityananda Prabhu, he is the source of Sankarshan, because Nityananda Prabhu is same as Balaram. So therefore, from Balaram, Sankarshan is coming. So Nityananda Prabhu is also source of Balaram. So that is, this verse also comes in the diary of Sri Sarup Damodar Goswami. So whatever information, most of the information which Kaviraj Goswami is writing in all these chapters in Chaitanya Caritāmrta, he has heard from Raghunath Das Goswami. And from where did Raghunath Das Goswami hear all these pastimes? From the diary of Sarup Damodar Goswami. Teho thoila Raghunathera kanthe taha kichuve shinilu taha iha vistarilu bhakta gana dilu ei bhete. So whatever, all the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were there in the throat of Raghunath Das Goswami, because he heard from Sarup Damodar Goswami and he was speaking all these pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Taha kichuve shinilu taha iha vistarilu. So Kaviraj Goswami is saying that I heard little bit, and whatever little bit I heard, I am expanding. Bhakta Gana Dilu Ei Bhete. So this is the gift I am giving to all the devotees. So we have to understand that this Chaitanya Charitāmrita, it is the supreme gift which Kaviraj Goswami has given to every one of us. Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to search for many years to find one copy of Sri Chaitanya Charitāmrita. And our fortune is, now it is available everywhere. It is there in everyone's pocket. Online soft copy is there. Hard copy is there. You have to just order. You will get a hard copy. It was not so easy to understand, to get a bona fide copy of Sri Chaitanya Charitāmrita. It was a rare thing. But the problem is, just like, there's a Subhashit which says, when something is in abundance, we don't take it seriously. Bhilla Purandari Chandanam Kashtham Kurute. So the lady who is staying in the Chandan forest, she burns Chandan to cook. So our problem is many times we are getting so much of the access to all these literatures that we think पढ़ लेंगे बाद में, we'll read later, but that day does not come. We have everything at our fingertips, but if we don't open the book, if we don't find out time to read, then it will be there as it is. Bhagavatam, Caitanya Caritāmrta. So we have to find out time. We have to desire first of all, and if we seriously desire, Krishna will give us the intelligence by which we can find time. If we are not desiring enough, Krishna will not take us seriously. So we have to seriously desire. That's the only one thing which is required, serious desire. And then everything will appear. Krishna will empower. Krishna will give time. Because that's why Kaviraj Goswami has spent so many, so much of his time in his old age, when he's not able to see anything, not able to hear anything, his hands are trembling, so many diseases. आमी वृद्ध जरातुर लिखित एका पय कर मने किच्छु स्मरणे न होए, ना देखिए नयने ना सुनिए श्रवणे तबु लिखिए बड़ा विस्मय. So still he is writing. For whom? Because this is a gift which he is giving to the devotees. एई अंत्य लीला सार सूत्र मध्य विस्तार तरी किच्छु करिलु विवरण इहा मध्य मरी जावे वर्णि तेना पारी तबे एई लीला भक्त गण धन. Because this pastime, it is a treasure of the devotees. That's why Kaviraj Goswami is so very impatient. He's thinking, if I die now, he's writing in Madhya Leela, if I die now, how will the devotees come to know the Ante Leela pastimes of Mahaprabhu? So he writes everything in short, in synopsis in Madhya Leela. Bhakta Gana Dilu Ei Bhete. So this is a gift. Ei Leela Bhakta Gana Dhan. So we have to be eager to get that gift. It is there. We have to just open it. Packed gift hai. We have to just open it. So therefore, all these descriptions are given. So then after this, Kaviraj Goswami describes that he describes Paravyoma. So he says Paravyoma, who is far, Paravyoma means spiritual sky, who is far beyond the material realm. And this Paravyoma, it has all the transcendental attributes, full of all the opulences. It is all pervading. It is infinite. It is supreme. It is effulgent. And this Paravyoma is the residence of all the avatars of Krishna. And the highest, the topmost of all the spiritual planets is Goloka Vrindavan. And in the highest region in this Goloka, which is called Krishna Loka, there are 3 divisions: Dwarka, Mathura, and Gokula. So he'll describe more about that. We'll discuss next time. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anybody has any questions? Okay, so there are no questions. We'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai.